And we are live.
Alright, I'm recording.
From the industrial wastelands of Michigan to the fruited plains of Iowa, this is
Why
the American
relate
Green
to
Factory.
sheer perversity?
You are the dead. Remain exactly where you are. Make no move until you are ordered.
We burn them to ashes and then burn the ashes. That's our official motto.
Now we can see you. Clasp your hands behind your heads. Stand out in the middle of the room. Stand back to back.
Who can explain the fascination of fire? What draws us to it, whether we're young or old?
Here comes a candle to light you to bed. Here comes a chopper to chop off your head.
And welcome to the American Greed Factory podcast. This is Nathan,
This is Conlon.
and here we are. Here we are again, folks. We're here for another podcast, which you can listen to safely at home and not get crushed to death in Texas in a crowd, like 8 people did today at the Astro World Festival. And the reason those people, and I guess it's like hundreds of people were injured too.
Yeah, it was like
8
500. Oh yeah, 8 dead. I think 300 injured or something.
Yeah, and injuries range from like broken legs to broken backs, and what a nightmare! And this wasn't because like the place caught on fire and they couldn't get out; they just rushed for the stage
Yeah.
and just started crushing it.
Did it where it was just people crushing each other at a soccer game?
Mm-hmm.
This is the same thing.
Yeah, it was like 100 people or something crazy like that.
Well, that soccer game was, I think, like 80 people died and like 500 people are injured. It was crazy, and this is also crazy.
Yeah,
And it almost seems worse because it's at night.
yeah. Well, can you imagine? I mean, I hate being in crowds anyway.
Yeah.
And because now if it's not the coronavirus that's going to kill you, it's this. And so I hate crowds anyway. And then like, yeah, that would be horrifying to be in a dark area and all of a sudden people are just trampling on you and you don't know what the hell to do. And
You don't have enough room to breathe to tell people to like, I can't breathe.
yeah, you can't like fight off a crowd when they're on top of you. It's another reason never to leave your house. It's just,
Yeah, I remember like the few times I've been to a concert, like, I did my due diligence. Dill diligence? Yeah. There's a new word.
Dildo. I dildoed the concert.
Due diligence. Yes, I did my due diligence. And I sat through the opening bands up front, and then all those fuckers just weaved their way up front when it was time for the band that they wanted to see was there. And it's like, no, fuck you. I stayed here the whole time.
Yeah,
It's
I've
like,
earned this.
And I'm not drinking. But yeah, so it's like, I'm never going to go to a concert ever again. Unless I can be like those ones where it's like, it's in like an indoor stadium, and then just like you can just sit off to the side, like like at the football game, and you're just sitting in the seats, and you're not down there moshing. It's like, yeah, yeah, I don't got to vibe to anything. You just got to enjoy the experience. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind doing that.
Yeah, quietly by myself.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. That's the weird thing about music. It's like I really like music, but I can't enjoy it with other people.
Yeah.
And and like I don't even have that problem anymore. But like in high school, it's like people would be interested, like you and other people would be interested in each other's music, and then as soon as you like let somebody listen to like the music you like, and they're just immediately disappointed in you, it's like, what? Okay, never mind.
You. Oh,
Yeah. Well, it's like people never got like, I don't like happy music because I don't believe in it. I like depressing music because that makes me feel happy. It's a real counterintuitive thing in my music taste. So
yeah, I mean, I like a lot of different things, but yeah, I don't prefer upbeat stuff.
yeah, because I just
Now,
feel
I
like that's a
stuff
lie.
That's recorded like pop, but it has really dark, cynical. undertones.
Yes, yeah, that's why I like The Weeknd, because like The Weeknd
Yeah.
is just like super pop music, but if you really listen to it, it's dark as shit.
Yeah. So I'll listen to stuff, and I can tell the people don't pay attention to music when they're like, "Well, why do you like that?" It's like, "Oh, you're just judging it by the sound. You're not listening to what they're saying." And yeah.
Well, yeah. Sometimes I'll do that too, but yeah, there's a fun thing people talk about where it's like, it's a lot of people, and I know someone talks about this. I mean, I've like listened to it myself or explored it, but it's like there's a lot of like those Southern good old boys, or even the people that aren't Southern good old boys, but they're just like pretend to have a Southern accent, drive a truck, and wave a Confederate flag in like Northern California.
Yeah.
Those people, they're just like waving the Confederate flag, playing "Sweet Home Alabama," and like they don't even know what that song's about.
Yeah.
That song's not about celebrating the South.
Actually, yeah, no, it isn't. I mean, they were a little mad at Neil Young, but other than that, it was Neil Young's a Southern man. That song was right on the nose. Nothing wrong with the South, written by a Canadian. Yeah. Sweet Home Alabama was like, yeah, we don't want Neil Young telling us how fucked up we are. We live here, we know how fucked up we are. And let me tell you why. Now we're gonna get sued. But yeah, that was
So we had the Houston Crush.
Houston Crush. Aaron Rodgers has joined the list of super athletes and other people that are healthy and work out a lot that somehow got COVID-19 and neglected to. It's like, I don't know if lied about vaccination status is the right word here. He seemed to like make ambivalent statements about, yeah, I'm covered, or yeah, I got it taken care of, or I got treatment.
Yeah.
Not exactly coming out and saying, yeah, I got the vaccine, but apparently he didn't.
Nope. And I don't know how far this extends. I saw the headline, so I don't know how much this is true. But they were saying that like he was treating his COVID with advice from Joe Rogan.
He was on the Joe Rogan podcast. I didn't listen to it.
Okay.
This was a while back, so I can't verify what was said on that podcast. But yeah, the sarcastic introduction I gave to this is because of all these guys that like, well, I'm in good physical shape, I don't need this, and then you end up getting it. And it's not, he's not going to die.
No.
Neither did anyone else, but they could have infected a bunch of fucking people, or
Yeah, they're only in like the largest events in North America.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, that's.
Yeah, there is an incredible weird thing with athletes and the vaccine. And I don't know if it's just like these guys are paranoid, or it's like, oh, we're just really concerned about what we put in our body. It's like, no, you fucking aren't. Putting fucking right yeah. And so that's what I'm wondering, because like whatever like human growth hormones are using that are beating the tests that the NFL is giving them, like does that have some like weird side effect if it combines with the vaccine or something?
Oh, you turn to stone. Or something. Something really awful gonna die like the trolls in Troll Hunter. It's like, what's gonna happen? I never thought of it that way.
Because like if these people are really concerned with what they put in their body, it's like, dude, I know what you fucking put in your body.
Yeah.
It's like all these fucking no, I forget the term for it.
Offshore medicine stuff.
Supplements, getting blood transfusions from like South Americans in Peru and all this shit. And like, vaccine, like what's that? A proven vaccine that's been tested by billions of people. I don't trust it.
Yeah, I'm taking a 2-week or a 2-month vacation in Panama. It's like, yeah, who wouldn't go there? It's like they have like stem cell clinics just all around. No one in Panama is using those, by the way. It's a poor country. They're not running to the stem cell place because their arm hurts. So yeah. Yep. Like again, another one of these super guys. Like, I'm fit and you're all fat and disgusting and you're all gonna die from this, but I'm not. And then I mean, they don't die, but
I mean, I should get a pseudonym and write the story that they want to buy about, where it's like basically like Left Behind, but instead of like the rapture happens, it's like the COVID vaccine takes a turn and only the people that didn't take it are left on the earth to reap the rewards.
Yeah, they believe that's going to happen, and they could be right. I mean, okay. But if I was told that it was just going to be those people left, it's like, well, I welcome death. The world's going to be run by, these idiots. I don't want to live in it.
Just millionaires who can't know nothing about basic infrastructure.
Yeah, or can't even do math. Or it's like, good, everyone's dead. It's like, yeah, who do you think pays your salary? Who's gonna buy all your tchotchkes now? I'm gonna show everyone how the world's easy to run. You just got to be belligerent about it. Like, yeah, that works. I mean, yeah, it did for some people, like Stalin, but that's a rare case.
I think he's married to Olivia Munn, who I see as a respectable person. So is that household just a nightmare?
I don't. His personal life is really. I don't know anything about him, and it's hard to find anything because I was immediately like looking like, what do his kids think of this or anything? No one knows if he has kids. It's just like his life is that, and that's fine. I understand.
Yeah,
fine.
he can have a private life. Yeah.
I wouldn't want, if I was doing something good like throwing a ball and really into my game, it's like, well, you can judge me for what I do on the field. Leave me the hell alone.
Yeah, because if you don't have a private life, what you turn into is Kanye West.
Yeah. I'm a genius.
You live in. That's like the weird, like that guy lives in his own reality and it's false, but it's true to him. Because imagine if you have that kind of like sway where like people are just touching you just to get close to you, and the kind of people that you meet on a daily basis that would just make you paranoid all the time. Not all of us would become Kanye.
Oh yeah. If I get more than two people to pay attention, because even my own family's dismissive when I walk around the house and rant and rave about the nonsense. That's good, Nathan. Good, Dad. Yeah, you're really thinking about things. It's like, well, I'm really just working out material here. It's like, well, I'll go a different direction. That sucks. Like the two people I live with get tired of me. But yeah, if I had people suddenly like, can I have a piece of your clothing, or people were that into me? Oh, that'd make me weird. And that's what happened to those people. That's what happened to Michael Jackson, to Prince. It's all of a sudden their opinions. It's like life or death to some people, and they think, well, doesn't everyone feel this way about you? It's like, no, only your fans feel this way. And really inside, they just want to be you or kill you. They become that level of fans. It's like,
yeah, they live in a weird Highlander world that like there can be only one.
Right.
We're the last Highlanders.
Yeah, they live in a completely, it's a weird world. Oh yeah, if people paid attention to me and thought what I said mattered, I would become so weird. And I would become very isolated. That Luke Skywalker Last Jedi life. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. Just be drinking milk out of the head of this weird animal. It's like, just everyone leave me alone. I'm not going to help you. I can't save you. Can't even handle my own shit. The only good part of that movie, that and the warp drive killing, like secrets revealed.
Then we have more crazy stuff in Texas.
Yeah. The bunch of people gathered. They say it's QAnon, but I've also heard it said it's like there's it's just kind of like a general conspiracy. Everything that's a weird conspiracy theory has now become QAnon, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's all QAnon. But yeah, apparently a bunch of people gathered. We'll just say QAnon.
Is this like a TEDx talk? It's not a TED talk. It's a TEDx talk.
Well,
it's like minor league TED talks.
No, it is QAnon, but it's other weirdos too. But they're ready for JFK Jr. to reappear, and also John F. Kennedy.
Yeah.
To reappear at the site of the assassination in Dallas, and like 10,000 people or whatever. I've heard different numbers. That's the thing; it becomes different numbers.
Yeah.
So I've heard anywhere from 3,000 to 10,000 people showed up.
JFK Jr. and JFK were going to show up to anoint Trump, and JFK Jr. was going to be the vice president for Trump for the next election.
Yeah. They were just going to skip the whole primary process of the Republican Party, and they were going to, because JFK Jr. faked his own death because the deep state was on to him, and he had to pretend to die so that he could live in hiding for almost 20 years, and then come out, and because his plane crashed in 1999. So it's I guess this is something that's been going on in the conspiracy world for like the last 3 years. All kinds of like knew, because the Kennedy assassination stuff is like that's where I got into a lot of conspiracy theories, was around the Kennedy assassination, because there was just such a rich amount of material out there. And then JFK, or they had the movie by Oliver Stone, and all that. I was like 16 when that came out, so there was a lot of buzz around that. But now this is a way to implement that into the deep state and everything. So they're just going to take something and ruin it with their dumb. But it is funny that like.
Was there a reason they picked the date that they did?
Numerology.
Oh.
There's a whole QAnon numbers world too. And if I say the name one more time, we're going to get pulled off YouTube. So I'm going to try not to say it anymore. There's a whole conspiracy theory universe, even though we're mocking it, but there's a whole conspiracy theory universe, and there's like time travel, numerology, but it's all circling around this, because like the big kahuna now is all that stuff. That led to like the Capitol riot and stuff. So it's managed to insert itself into almost everything.
This is just replace the Mayan calendar ending stuff. Like they don't have that anymore to to work on.
Yeah, it's just recycling stuff, and because there's all kinds of weird stuff. Like, you ever heard of the stuff about the Habsburgs and like the descendants of Jesus Christ and all that? Like, yeah, the Kennedys are now that in this thing, but this is combining a lot of ideas. This is not like the main. These aren't the people that are running around like.
This is the side hustle of this conspiracy.
Yeah, these are kind of like the the people that want to, like, there's the actual Bigfoot hunters that go in the woods and look for Bigfoot, and then there's the people that believe they can like meditate and contact Bigfoot. These are the meditators versus the guys in the woods. These aren't boots on the ground type guys, but they did all. Yeah,
we don't want to do the work, but we want to imagine we did the work.
Yeah. We want the appearance of work,
which is probably this. Which that means this gathering could have been way bigger had people had the means or the abilities to get there.
Yeah, I mean it could have been something. But it's so weird. I mean, and what I'm saying is, like, I'm not simplifying it to make it sound stupid. This is as presented. Like, I don't need to do a lot of work. I just need to read off a screen to describe to you exactly what these people think and what they're doing.
It's stupid at face value, and people went, I'm on board.
I'm here. I'm there. Okay, that's what I'm hearing. I know if I seem distracted, it's because someone's having a drag race on the road. Because I thought like the house was collapsing for a second, but yeah, that's what's going on, and it's weird.
Yeah,
but it doesn't. It's not like I'm shocked. It's like, yeah, this is about right. I mean, this is almost also do this.
Also nothing happened, but then there's videos of people like as a car drives by, they go, "That's Robin Williams." Like you can't see anybody in the car.
Yeah. Oh, dude, this is like the weirdest LARPing exercise ever.
Well, I mean, the LARPing people know it's make believe.
I think a lot of these people at some level got to know it's make believe too.
Oh yeah. There's some people there just having fun. Like we're just hanging out with our crazy Trump friends. Yeah,
it's like, let's go to Dallas. There's a cool restaurant there. Billy Bob can go see if Kanye West and John F. Kennedy are going to descend out of the clouds and save us all. And if they do, great. We were there, but we're just going to go to a good restaurant. 99% sure what's going to happen. So, yeah.
Well, speaking of fantasies, I have more toys, another toy haul.
All right, let me get my notes down so I can see this.
I have to pin my window bigger. There we go. So this is from the Star Wars Rebels CGI cartoon series.
Okay.
So this is that version of Ahsoka Tano.
Okay.
She is the apprentice of Anakin Skywalker, and she's mostly from the Clone Wars series, but they also had her in the Mandalorian series. That was the episode. Remember the episode where they had there was a town being held hostage, and there was a Jedi with two lightsabers. Yeah.
played by Rosario Dawson, right?
Yep. So yeah, it's Ahsoka Tano. So yeah, in the Clone Wars, she leads clone troopers. So you have to have something. Then I decided to get some of the officers. So here we got Admiral Thrawn.
That's one of the I love. Too bad that's not canon anymore. But yeah, Thrawn was a cool character.
Well, yeah, because there was a Timothy Zahn book, but yeah, that maybe not be but he was also in the Star Wars Rebels cartoon.
Yeah, he'd be around then. Yeah.
Because that's the secret thing. Like, you know how we all like the Mandalorian, and we kind of gave all the credit to what's his name?
Oh, the guy from yeah.
Crap.
Watched a lot of his stuff.
Guy who directed Iron Man. Let's see here. Iron Man 2008, who directed. And Jon Favreau.
Yeah, Jon Favreau.
So we kind of give a lot.
Favorton, and I know, I was like, don't say it. All right.
So we kind of give a lot of credit to Jon Favreau, but who's like a co-creator of the Mandalorian show is Dave Filoni. And so he kind of ran all the Clone Wars stuff.
Okay.
And so that's kind of the secret sauce in the Mandalorian is Dave Filoni.
Now that you say it, it's like, oh yeah, I could see that.
And he's a crazy guy who's been working at ILM forever too. So he has great stories where he gets high and he talks about making the Clone Wars. And great conversations with because it's on. I get some of the stuff from that podcast that's talking about a more civilized age, where they talk about the Clone Wars cartoon show, and they have stuff from Dave Filoni where he's in a cowboy hat, and you just find out how much really George Lucas doesn't give a shit about Star Wars, or not really. You think like George Lucas is really attached to the history of Star Wars, but like he's not. He's willing to throw things away just for whatever reason. Yeah, because he doesn't call them lightsabers; he calls them laser swords. Like, he doesn't give a shit.
Money. Give me.
I mean, he cares about it, but also he's enough of a creator to know when to not give a shit about it. I mean, because remember, like, he didn't write Empire Strikes Back nor direct it, and that's like the best Star Wars thing. So
yeah, and he didn't step into a lot of political stuff either. You know, Disney tried that with Star Wars. We see how that worked.
Well, if you go back and watch like the later Clone Wars stuff, that's all like anti-war and terrorism rhetoric.
Yeah.
But it's also a kid's show, so it's like you really have to go full Verhoeven effect on that to get that out of the show. But that's there.
These clone troopers were a metaphor for the Abu Ghraib torture.
Yeah, there are some torture episodes that are like.
Oh
that.
yeah, I know. I've heard about it.
Here we got Sabine Wren. So this is also another Rebels show. So she's like a Mandalorian.
Okay.
Yeah, this one I figure that's more kind of built up like animated, like the animated show.
Okay. Very colorful.
Yeah. Here we got ARC Trooper Echo. So this is a Clone War. This is ARC Trooper. So basically, it's just like Clone Trooper with jump jets.
Okay.
And they're like special forces guys essentially. This guy Echo, he gets blown up and presumably killed in one episode, and then they kind of bring him back, and he's like mostly a cyborg that the what do they call them? Not the defectors, but the people that aren't joining the Union of the Republic. Like they capture him and use his mind to use against the clone troopers, and then they get him back, and then he ends up to being part of the Bad Batch squad. Except,
okay.
but he's like mostly cyborg by that time.
Like General Grievous, but with a head.
Yeah. And one arm, so he's more RoboCop. Here we have clone pilot Hawk. So this is one of the clones.
Those guys. Yeah.
This is a really cool looking suit. Like it's kind of in between like the Rebel helmet and like the TIE Fighter helmet. It's kind of a cross between it. So it's really cool looking. This is another one from the Bad Batch. This is an elite stormtrooper. The visor's kind of green looking.
Oh, okay.
So in the show they kind of glow green. It's more noticeable and menacing. But Here we got a clone commander, Cody.
Yeah, I remember him. My son liked that show. So.
Then we got Admiral Piet.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm not sure where he's from. Some of these give you like what they're from, and some of them don't.
Well, he was from Empire Strikes Back, I thought.
Okay.
Yeah, because he was the guy that got promoted after Vader choked the other guy. He was Captain Piet, and then he's like, "Well, now it's your turn, Admiral Piet."
Don't screw it up.
He's watching this guy die next to him. Yes, sir. We'll do what we can.
This is one of the bounty hunters from Clone Wars. This is Aura Singh. So she's pretty a ruthless character, and she has a sniper rifle that's as tall as her.
Good. Yeah, you need that. Bigger the gun, the... Yeah, you know.
The faster the laser light rifle fires.
Yeah.
Here we got just it's a clone trooper, but it's specifically a 501st Legion clone trooper.
Okay.
Because the further you get in the series, the more every division has kind of its own characteristics, and the clones start taking on names, and they have their own haircuts and stuff like that, and they become more individuals, and and then it's sad when they have to kill their friends, which are the Jedi. Although they don't feel that sadness at the time, but later when they think about it, they feel really bad about themselves. So.
Yeah, why did we shoot that guy? He was nice to us. He led us into battle with a laser sword.
He blocked those lasers with the sword. It was cool as shit. And then we shot him to death. I don't. Here we just got a Death Star trooper. It's just got that guy with the weird helmet.
The technician, yeah.
Yeah.
Commence firing procedure or something like that. Yeah.
Here we got Imperial Patrol Trooper. I think this might be for the sequels. I'm not sure.
Okay.
This one doesn't give a listing.
Yeah, and those guys were firing it like they were right next to where the laser focus was on a platform with no rails. It's like is this a Russian Death Star? Don't take anything into account as long as it works.
That was a fully completed Death Star. No safety precautions.
Yeah, no rails. I did like when they joked about that in The Mandalorian. It's like, don't they put rails anywhere?
Here we got kind of a battle damage Captain Phasma.
Yeah.
So that's from the Last Jedi. Here
we
we got
use that character a lot more.
Yeah.
No one else ever had chrome armor. It's like, yeah.
They literally threw the character away. And there's no way to Boba Fett her. Let's redo her character arc. It's no, they killed her pretty definitely. I mean, you can always bring her back, but nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, she didn't do anything really except menacing, and it was like, oh, it's a lady. That was it. That was her character.
Here got this one's. It's kind of shiny. You might be able to tell, but it's just a Boba Fett, but it's kind of a shiny one.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, they call it carbonized graphite. As a clone trooper lieutenant from Attack of the Clones.
All right.
Here we got a stormtrooper Finn from the sequels.
Oh, okay.
Remember he starts.
Stormtrooper.
Yeah. Here we got just a kind of a special Kylo Ren, where he's standing on a platform.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure if this figure moves or not. I got it pretty cheaply, so I'm wondering if that's why it was cheap. Is the thing doesn't actually. Figure. Yeah. I mean, all the sequel stuff is pretty cheap, so.
Yeah.
Here we got Mando, but this is with Beskar armor.
Oh, okay.
So that's the only difference there.
Be a disruptor. Literally.
This might be my favorite one. This was an Amazon exclusive, but of course all the scalpers bought all of these, and so the only place to buy them is on eBay, because that's how that shit works.
Yeah, that makes sense. Amazon has no way to. It's like he ordered 350. We'll sell them. Yeah, totally legit.
And then it's oh, you can buy it on Amazon. You just have to buy it from a scalper for twice the price.
Yeah.
So I didn't spend twice the price, but I still spent more than I should have. But this is an artillery trooper.
Oh,
from,
that looks cool.
from Mandalorian. So.
Like a mortar there.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Laser
Little-
mortar.
Yeah, and the little white thing there is like the charge that you shove in the mortar.
I like
So,
his
yeah.
armor. Like it's like the leather shoulder greave.
Yeah. So it's probably my favorite one. This is just from one of the original line, just a regular ass clone trooper.
Oh, okay.
So no characteristics, no color, nothing like that. Just a normal ass clone trooper.
Just a Camino clone trooper right out of the factory.
Here we got Stormtrooper Han Solo.
Oh yeah.
Here we got another Bandai. I haven't put this together yet, but it's a Bandai Captain Phasma.
Oh, okay. I've never seen that one.
And the big one. We got the Sand Trooper Dewback.
Oh wow. When did that one come out?
Oh, this came out a while ago, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, I was able to get it for a decent price because the box is damaged there. But
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I
don't.
don't necessarily care about the box. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like the market value for those things is like $100, and I was able to get it for $70, and you normally pay if you get it at retail, it would be $60.
Oh wow. Okay, well, that's not bad.
Yeah,
But I'd never seen that before. So
yeah. So yeah, that's my current grab bag of Star Wars toys. So there's only pretty much the ones I can't get are all the Captain Rex stuff. Like that stuff is all bought up by scalpers, and they're all selling it for at least $60. So yeah, it's garbage. But and there's one like from like the red or the orange line or whatever, that there's a Boba Fett from those lines that are worth like $200. I guess they just did limited productions of them. So
well, kids, I got a toy.
all right, let me pin you to the big screen.
For all you 2001 A Space Odyssey kids out there, I got the a large scale EVA pod from Mobius.
That's pretty cool.
This is
That's gonna be big.
oh yeah, it's as big as a basketball. Full interior and exterior.
Huh.
And they have nice stickers, but you can go to Paragraphics and get all. That's how they do the stickers on this. Is they're nice stickers, but they go on transparent plates that you just put the stickers over, or you can go to Paragraphics and get their photo etch kit, which you can put those down under the plates and then put the stickers on top and then use a melting solution so they'll have depth and everything and all the sliders will look real. Well, that's $164 for the photo etch. I'm not doing that. And then you can get like the light kit for $200 where everything not only lights up, but it has like light tubes where individual things will light up in a certain sequence and it'll display those little, like, you know how in 2001 they always had the busy screens that always had different information, but it was random nonsense. Yeah, you can make those light up in a sequence and whatever. But I'm not doing any of that. I'm just building the very expensive model that I bought. That is, they don't make anymore. I got that for way under book because they couldn't order anymore, and they had two of them, and no one was buying them. And because I built the giant Explorer or Discovery One,
Yeah.
and that was a cool model. I mean, it's still hanging up there. There wasn't much to it, and it was. But it's a cool looking model. So yeah, I picked this up because it was like, those are going for like $200 at one time, but they came way down. But then like you get all that paragraph. If you paid face for this and got all that paragraphic stuff and the display stand, you have $500. No problem. I mean, it looked cool as hell.
Yeah.
Because when you look in it from the front with that light kit, like I've seen guys that did it. It looks like it looks like you have a prop from the movie, especially if you turn the lights off. It's like, oh yeah, wow, this is cool. But there's no way I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Light kits I did the Klingon ship, and that was engineered for that kit, and it was like, it was fun, but I'll never do it again. It was
Did you do the light kit for the Yamato?
Those were the individual LED lights you put in, the
okay.
button lights. Now those had light pipes too, so you put one LED in for the engines, and then there was the red main engine, and then some like orange side engines, and then you put the one in the top, and it made the crew section where the bridge was light up green, just like the TV show, and then it had some other lights, like some red lights or whatever. But that was all just well engineered Bandai stuff that.
Yeah.
Because I think those they took like little watch batteries.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, full on like you got to plug this into a socket. And but yeah, those are the only 2 light kits I've done. And the Klingon one, I had to do I had to put all my skills to the test with super glue, and reverse black and that aluminum tape. Because even if the kit's engineered for it, you're going to get light leak.
Yeah.
As soon as you have that, it immediately looks. Everyone's like, "Oh, it sucks." So you got to do all the aluminum tape and all, and it's just like It's too much. It detracts from the enjoyment of the process to have to deal with that.
Yeah.
Some guys are into that. I'm just not one of those guys.
For as expensive as that Klingon model was, it was absurd how much work you had to do to it to make it work.
I had to buy like metal rods and like HVAC tape. Reverse black sucks to do, so that's like Adam Savage. You can learn about that with him. It's because the thing is, like, I'm a surface detail. That's like my thing. I really like to do. I get the big magnifying lenses on. I really go down, and that model has a ton of surface detail. But you also can't plug up the light ports because it's got to show light out. So you have to do convincing surface detail and leave it transparent enough so that light still comes through it. It's just not a lot of fun. And just the structural engineering I had to do on that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was like, this was supposed to be out of the box. You do this, not you go to a hardware store and get brass rods, rot them with your hand so this thing will be structurally stable once you put the battery pack and assemble it so that it doesn't just sag down and look like shit. And I mean, it looks great, but it was like not a process I enjoyed. It's like, I'm just so far into this, I'm going to finish this. There's some things I've walked away from where it's like, yeah, I'm not good enough a modeler. And it's not like if I throw more money at it, I'm going to get better. It's just there's some things I do because I'm not getting paid to do it. It's supposed to be fun, and if I'm not having fun, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
This isn't a job. Because people always ask me, like, do you build things for other people? I was like, no. What if somebody wanted you to build something? I said, then they could buy the model for me and I would build it, but I wouldn't charge them for the work. It's like, why not? I said, because that wouldn't be fun. That would be a lot of pressure on me. I'm not really that. Just because you see one thing I did that was cool, there's 3 other failures I can show you that I've also done. So I can't guarantee. Because, yeah, I've had people ask me that before. Hey, could you build a model like my grandpa did in the tank in World War II? I was, no. I can build you one. I'll work off pictures, but I'm not going to charge you for it. Oh, that's kind of weird. I said, yeah, I'm a terrible businessman. What can I say? It's like, because if you pay me money, we're making a guarantee here that I'm not willing to make because this is a hobby. I'm doing this for fun. I stack boxes for a living. I do that for fun also, but a different kind of fun, a self-loathing kind of fun.
But yeah, speaking of more sci-fi shows, yeah, I have been watching the Clone Wars TV show, so I'm going through that. But there's a lot of those. So.
Yeah, good luck. It'll take you a few months.
Yeah, there's like 100 episodes. So
I thought there was more than that.
There might be. There's 6 seasons, but the last season only has like 10 episodes, and all the other ones have like 22, 23 episodes.
Oh, okay.
But also they're only half-hour episodes, so that's not a big problem.
I just remember my son watching that, and it seemed like there was like 4 years of content there.
Oh yeah. Well, because like they made some because adults or it was Cartoon Network made like a ridiculous order for that stuff, and they kind of took that as a process to like, all right, we're just gonna kick out episodes. So it is interesting because I just kind of skipped the first 2 seasons because it's almost like Star Trek where it's like, you can skip the first or Next Generation. You can skip the first two
Yeah.
seasons.
Go back and watch them and realize you didn't miss anything.
But like, yeah, some of that early stuff, it looks so bad. And like, there's something about like that CGI animation I don't like where it's just like, as a still picture, like what you can do where you can just like fill a screen with like thousands of soldiers and like robots and stuff like that. Like it looks cool, but when they start animating, it's like, woo. Or they have like talking and facial movement, or they try to have talking and facial movement. It just doesn't, but like they got so much better with that as it went on. So that was
Yeah, everyone's eyes aren't as big as baseballs when they track around and shit. I know that was a weird style of animation that evolved as the show went on.
But yeah, so I've but I also watched because the Paramount Network, they have, so we've seen Discovery, which had potential, but it ended up being a dud.
Yeah.
And then Picard is laughable. And so weirdly but those are like A+ production shows.
Yeah.
Like extremely well produced, but extremely poorly written.
Yeah, they look good. The actors do the best they can with what they're given, and but the writing's terrible.
And so, with the opposite, like their B and C shows, like so you have like Star Trek Lower Decks, which if you watch a advertisement for that looks terrible, and it's actually like the best Star Trek thing they have because it actually adheres to the principles of Star Trek. We're like, yeah, these are annoying people that are kind of funny, but ultimately they're endearing and naive in a way that's fun, where it's like they just want to explore the universe.
Yeah.
It's not like this weird, dark, violent Star Trek. Whereas like I would take a dark, violent Star Trek if like they said like this takes place in the Mirror Universe.
Yeah.
And then like it's supposed to be about like, somebody from the Federation is stuck in the Mirror Universe and like they have to try to use their enthusiasm to win over the Mirror Universe. I'd be okay for that.
Yeah.
Or I'd be okay if like only a couple episodes are about like just unending dreariness and nothing is solved. Like I'd be okay with that, a couple episodes. But a lot about Star Trek is about like naivety and endearment and searching for other life and seeing other things out there in a positive way. And like these new shows just don't do that.
Or hope, or people having like people have a kind of a crazy job, but normal interactions with each other. It's like, that was crazy, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. But things get tough, and then we get going, and it's going to work out. And that was always fun about Star Trek. And if you wanted something else, you could find it.
Yeah.
But you don't just need unrelenting bleakness, borrowing stories from video games. When you have like this whole universe of creativity behind you and around you, it's stupid, and it doesn't even work. I mean, it doesn't work on any level. That's the problem I have with it, and apparently a lot of other people that like Star Trek have that same problem.
Yeah.
So I don't have some minority opinion where I say I could write better stuff. I'm not saying that. It's like this isn't good. And you're shoehorning stuff in there that doesn't need to be there. Like, we know life sucks. You don't need to bring it to Star Trek. It's.
But so they also have another Star Trek show. It's one for kids, so it's produced by Nickelodeon. It's called Star Trek Prodigy. And if you look at the trailer for it, it looks terrible, and it's pretty good. Now you have to. It's like the Clone Wars stuff. Like it's meant for children. But it's actually like pretty out the gate, pretty kind of bleak because like it doesn't start with like you're not with like Starfleet or anything like that. You're on a prison colony with children and prisoners that are being used as labor.
Doesn't sound good.
Where where all the universal translators are taken away, so nobody can communicate with each other, so nobody can escape the prison.
Oh, okay. That actually sounds like someone used common sense there.
And so it starts out pretty bleak. You have like the kids characters who are like kind of upbeat and annoying, but like it's a kid show, so but it looks really good. Like I'd say the action looks better than Star Trek Discovery. Maybe because like I mean they can use CGI and put cameras anywhere too, but it seems like it's okay for this to have like wacky camera angles that like are swinging in and out and changing perspective, like because it's a cartoon CGI thing. I said the animation is really well done. I don't know how much money they put into this, but it's really well done because like I said, I always have a problem with the animation with these 3D CGI stuff because it doesn't necessarily look that great. But here it's more stylized. Like it's almost like the Into the Spider-Verse CG animated.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like that almost.
Yeah, it's what you like that semi-live stuff. I guess I don't know how you'd call that, but it's like people move in a reasonable way.
Well, yeah. Well, no, it's like weird. It's almost because it's almost like some things are in one frame rate and like things are in other frame rates, but it works. Oh. It's hard to discern, but it works.
Oh, okay.
And then so they end up finding just like it's called the USS Protostar, and a ship has been abandoned. It's just in the middle of this mining asteroid. And then they get on there and like they find like a communicator badge and they touch it and then they can talk to each other. And they're able to use this and like I don't know what year it is, like presumably it's way in the future. Because like this looks to be like a very advanced starship. Like it doesn't have the NC, it has NX because it's a prototype starship. So maybe it's one of those ones that can phase through walls. Maybe that's why it's in the middle of an asteroid.
Oh yeah,
like the
secret cloaking technology.
Yeah, like the Riker one.
Yeah. We'll do you one better, Romulans.
And so these kids, and one of the kids is like the daughter of like the main bad guy, and she knows all these different languages, and then they end up kind of capturing her and bringing her on the spaceship. But secretly she wants to be away from her father because he's evil. He's capturing criminals and children and putting them in forced labor. And so like so they escape, and then at some point they say the word help, and then a holographic Captain Janeway appears and like is trying to instruct them like they're cadets or whatever to how to use this starship. And so now they're alpha and plucky adventurers. So
okay.
For a kids show, I'd say it's pretty good, pretty well done. Looks really good. Not what I expected. So
I'll check that out.
Yeah, there's the premiere is an hour long, and then there's an additional half-hour episodes. There's only 3 episodes out currently, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's Star Trek Prodigy on Paramount Network.
All right, now you had something real quick for F1, even though I don't have a race.
Yes. Well, they had qualifying today, so it was Bottas got pole, then Lewis Hamilton, and then Max Verstappen. It's kind of surprising because this is kind of seen as a track that favors Red Bull. Even though it's a very fast track, but the elevation is very high because it's got like, it's like Colorado. Mexico City has like essentially the same elevation as Colorado.
Okay.
So it's very thin air. But the problem with thin air is like these cars are cooled by air, and Mercedes has heating problems all the time. So that's why this favors Red Bull. But yeah, they came out ahead. But the other news I had is that the Andretti deal fell through because they're looking to take over. What is a Swiss company named Sauber? They're a Swiss engineering company, but their team is called Alfa Romeo.
Okay.
Andretti is looking to basically buy the holding company that owns them, but I guess the deal fell through. It was like too much money. I think it was a control issue. Like there's like, yeah, we'll sell you the holding company, but if you want to control the F1 team, it's going to be way more money than that. And so they're like,
interesting. If you want what you really want, it's twice the money.
Yeah. So yeah, that's because like right now, like why they're looking to take over a team is because it's there's rules built into F1 currently that basically makes it impossible unless you're just willing to pay the money to make a new team. So like even Haas, I think like bought their team from somebody else and just changed the name.
Oh, okay.
But if you wanted to make a brand new team, they have what in the current F1 guidelines right now. They have what's called an anti-dilution clause.
Okay.
So not to dilute the sport. So if you want to join F1 right up front, you got to pay every other team. Well, it's a pool. You got to pay $200 million up front that gets split amongst the teams just to prove that you can get into F1.
Just to prove that you have $200 million.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
No.
So that rule is going away in I think in 2027 when the engine regulations change, because that's when Audi and Porsche are looking to get in F1. So that's when those rules stop. So right now, nobody wants to get in F1, but that's why it costs too much for Andretti to take them over. Because right now, their team, it's hey, if you buy us, we're saving you $200 million. So, they're going to jack that fucking price up.
Yeah, we're going to pass that right along to the people that own this.
But if, if it's 5 years from now, then then it's worthless. Then it's just people can well, anybody can create a team. We don't need you anymore. So,
yeah.
So yeah, that's the current fun F1 update stuff.
Oh, okay. Anti-dilution. Interesting.
Yeah, I just like that was a clause in a contract.
I think someday F1's going to be remembered more for its elaborate and bizarre rules, or as much at least, than for the ultimate in motorsports that it is.
I was going to give kind of a wrestling update. I meant to do that back when we were talking about Aaron Rodgers, but because WWE released a bunch of people again.
Okay, yeah, surprise said no one.
And big names too, but apparently some of the at least 5 of them were released because they didn't get a vaccine. So
yeah,
because right now they have a side tour that's going through Europe currently.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way they could do that if they're vaccinated. So there was just a bunch of people they couldn't tour because they weren't vaccinated. It's oh, how about if we just didn't pay you anymore?
Yeah. Instead of sitting on your ass here because you can't go on tour, just go find another job.
Well, technically they're going to be paid. They have depending on whether they're fired from NXT or fired from WWE, they have what they call non-compete clauses, although it's technically not that. It's we reserve the right to rehire you for 90 days clause. Yeah. So they can't work anywhere, but they're getting paid technically. Yeah. So, they rebranded NXT as NXT 2.0, and they've completely changed the show. And it was kind of a fun mess for a while, but now it just kind of seems like a bad show.
Oh,
because they introduced if you knew it.
Being charmingly bad to just bad.
I mean, it was always a good wrestling show. It's just some of the storylines were kind of you just kind of shove that in there, just trying to compete with AEW. But now it's just they're taking all the people that Vince McMahon wants. We want athletes that are 6'2", 225. We want pretty young ladies. And they're just throwing them in the ring. And it's let's see what happens. And guess what? They're not good wrestlers.
Yeah. The shit out of them.
Oh yeah, there's been several injuries too. Oh yeah, yeah. Some of them have been pretty bad. Nobody's died yet, so there's that. But
yeah. Stay tuned.
There are some. There's a guy. They call his name's Braun Breaker. He's only had 6 wrestling matches, but he's actually good. So he's the only standout. He's okay, yeah, this guy's going somewhere.
Yeah.
But everybody else, it's just ridiculous. It's back to just tropes and what do you call that? When it's characters of races. What do you call that?
Stereotypes?
Yes, it's just stereotyped wrestling.
Okay.
So, because it's now it's under Vince McMahon's control and Bruce Pritchard, which is pretty much just the biggest yes man in the world.
Okay.
So, yeah. So it's it was endearing for a while, but now it just kind of seems cruel.
Yeah.
They had Big E win the WWE Championship, so Big E is great. So it's nice that they gave him a spot. So he's still currently the champion. They had a big crown jewel show in Saudi Arabia, their Blood Money show.
What if they called it that?
But surprisingly, it was really good. Like that was because pretty much everything sucked. I haven't watched like WWE television in a while, and I barely even watch the pay-per-views. Like I just instantly have Peacock, so sometimes I watch their stuff. But Crown Jewel was a really good show, and weirdly enough, they had 2 women's matches. So, although they had they had to wear weird baggy clothes, but oh well, yeah, you had to compromise.
Let's talk about this for a minute. It's just something I hear. There's a podcast I listen to where they talk about, like, what are the Gulf states, the Gulf oil states doing to try to, how are they going to fit in with the rest of humanity? How are they going to fail at that yet again? They have these weird concept cities,
Yeah.
like Dubai, and then they've got the one called Neom.
Oh yeah.
City of the future, and they want people to invest in it, and like billions and billions of dollars are going into it. But it's funded by the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, who had a guy murdered and cut to pieces and then listened to it because he wanted to hear. I mean, nobody knows for sure. We do, because apparently we were just using our weird spy shit. We knew exactly what was going on. But yeah, it's like they want this entertainment. They want to bring this stuff in, then they throw their just weird, ancient Babylonian bullshit into it, and everyone's uncomfortable with that.
Yeah.
It's just like that Eternals movie, one of the characters is gay, so it's not like, and they actually think they swing enough weight, they're going to go to Disney. Like, could you rewrite that or edit those scenes out? And Disney was like, no, because the rest of the people in the world will excoriate us if we do that. Well, you don't have to do that all over the world, just here. And they're just like, no, we're not doing it.
Well, even like because F1's gonna have a race there in like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Man, have you seen? Oh, Jesus Christ! You should see like the progress they've made on that track. It's horrifying how much is not done. Like, this is going to be a racetrack in 3 weeks. Like, is this going to be completed under gunpoint? Because that's the only way this shit's getting done.
Yes, actually, yeah.
The paddock where they're supposed to have like the garages for the cars. It just looks like it looks like the Oklahoma City bombing. Like, it just looks like somebody just blew up the front of a building.
They're throwing straw down on pit road. Yeah, I don't know. And see, they can hire the best people in the world because, I mean, those states have trillions of dollars. Like, they're not poor. Well, the people are poor, but the, whatever ruling system they have all the money. But yeah, they can't. I mean, that's the country where they're bringing people from the Philippines to do construction, and you show up on the job site and they just take your passport and stuff, and then you start working, they don't pay you, and they're like, well, fuck you, I don't want to work here. Well, you don't have a passport, you can't leave. Oh, I want to file a lawsuit. Yeah, good luck. My brother-in-law is the prosecutor, so have fun with that. And yeah, they're working these people, working them to death and they just, they never go back to the Philippines. Or then they do that shit here where they go to school in California. They send them out to all the fancy schools in California, and they'll get drunk in their Lamborghini and kill someone. And then they'll arrest them, and the guys will come bail them out. And then they're like, well, this guy's going to be, show up for trial at whatever time. Oh, yeah. And then he flies out of the country with a different passport and never comes back. And the families of the people who get killed here, they're like going to the government, and they're kind of like, once they disappear into wherever, Saudi Arabia, we can't get them back. And it's like, you invaded a bunch of those countries and killed a lot of people. What do you mean? It's like, they have all the oil. We're not going to fuck with them. Or someone will show up at their house with like a suitcase full of money and like, just don't say anything else about it. We'll get the charges dropped. And they're horrified when Americans are like, go fuck yourself. My daughter's dead or my son's dead. I'm not. I can't. Number one, I can't take money from you for that. That's against the law. That's interfering with the judicial process. And number two, my kid's not. I don't put any money. He's dead. There's no dollar amount you're going to put on his life. It's going to actually make me happy or live with myself if I do this. I mean, I'm sure some people have. I don't know. but it's weird. Like any interactions with over there with people with money, it's like something out of Game of Thrones. It's like, what horrible shit are they gonna do next?
Well, apparently they did have like a big dress code thing for the F1. Like, this is how people are going to dress there. And it was even like stuff where like guys couldn't wear shorts or whatever. But apparently that whole code is going to be nixed, because they did have a video on the YouTube channel where they had one of their female presenters in Saudi Arabia, and she wasn't like covered head to toe. It's like, oh, okay. I mean, she did have like a long sleeve shirt on, but like, it's like, okay, well, at least they're allowing that. Or...
Oh, I'd make my car like rainbow flag livery for the race. It's just like, yeah, good luck.
Oh, well, yeah, we'll see. Sebastian Vettel does do that stuff, because like they always have weird anti-gay stuff in Russia, and so like, yeah, he has rainbow gear when he goes to race in Russia. So
yeah, he's not even gay. He's just like, screw you
yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Bunch of assholes. Why do you hate that? Oh, because your book says? Okay, yeah, your book, right? It was written in the Iron Age. Yeah, that's.
Why? Yeah, I'm not even sure like why Russia is anti-gay, because like, I mean, it's like
it's anti-masculine. They have a very masculine culture code over there.
Oh, because I thought you were.
That's why they survived, is because they're just tough guys.
Oh.
You know?
But like you were saying the old book, and I'm like, well, Russia, like, didn't they get rid of religion? So they're not. Well, I guess they still was it Eastern Orthodox. That's like Russia Catholics or whatever, which is a different thing.
Well, the thing in Russia about that, because like when it was the Soviet Union, that they didn't have like any formal codes against it. It was just understood you're politically dead if you're gay in this country. Like, you know, we're not going to put you in jail for it, but we'll use it against you because it's not popular.
Yeah.
And then when Putin took over, he got really close to the church, because that's what those guys do. And then, you know, like all those pictures of him riding around on a horse with a rifle and no shirt on and stuff, like that's just kind of their culture.
Yeah.
It's just this masculine stuff, because they say it's like being tough is why the Germans didn't annihilate us in the Second World War. That's what it goes back to there. And then you
not because you're willing to throw millions of people in front of bullets.
Yeah, well, you got to be tough to be one of those guys. Let's just send out without a rifle to charge a machine gun nest. You know, that is a certain amount of toughness, but it's not really the kind that, you know, everyone would want their kids to go do.
And generations of mental illness because of it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's a country more rooted in mental illness than even the United States, and that's really saying something. I mean, they're just a hardy people, and that's their culture. Is like, yeah, we don't like that stuff, but that's because they associate it with femininity.
Yeah,
like they have gay people in their culture that do fine, and they're even minor celebrities if they're like the real masculine, like the Greek gays, like the Spartans. It's like, yeah, we're all homosexuals, but we can kill you. You know, it's like, oh, we're okay with that because they're tough men. So yeah, the Russians have a weird relationship with that, but essentially they have a weird relationship with it because their political leadership wants to use it as a football to toss around instead of people paying attention to the fact they don't have food and they're cold half the winter. It's like, no, to pay no attention to that. Hate the gays. Yeah,
and the criminals run everything.
Yeah, and everything is like, if you got to bury your mom, you got to pay 3 bribes. And yeah, it's a great place to live, I'm sure. I do like some of the people I've met from there around here. There's like, oh, they're funny, but they're funny and like, wow, that's crazy. Okay, you believe that? All right, good.
Let's see here. What's the other wrestling stuff? I don't have any AEW stuff. They have a pay-per-view come out in a couple of weeks, and it looks like it'll be pretty good. I mean, AEW's just been knocking it out of the park. But I probably only think like you like they had MJF, who's their big heel. Then they were in Orlando, and he was coming out to basically insult the audience, and he's like, "Oh, great, Orlando, where everybody solves their problems with incest and gun violence."
And the crowd didn't boo.
Nah, they booed him, but
yeah. They'd be like, "He's one of us. He gets us."
Yeah, AEW's been great. And they're going to TBS next year, so.
Oh, moving around.
Yeah. Well, it ends up so because like TNT picked up hockey, so now there's weird shit with their broadcast. So basically, they don't have to like compete with themselves when they're on TBS. Well, they will be because they'll be competing with hockey on TNT, but they'll have their own spot on TBS.
Okay.
And it's weird because they spend all this money to get hockey, and hockey gets less ratings than AEW does. So it's like, oh,
I was
good.
going to say hockey's not like here it's huge, but yeah, I don't think that like in Alabama it's like your main attractor. I can't believe what people pay for their kids to be in hockey.
Oh,
Good
yeah.
God, yeah, it's like the sport of kings here. It's like, oh, my kid's playing, hockey in a traveling league. It's like, oh, so you have no money, like you're just broke, and you're driving 500 miles every weekend.
I wonder, because still like hockey players still make millions of dollars. I wonder if if you can just afford the upfront cost, like how easy it is to be in hockey. But
I mean,
we
as
had
an owner?
no, like as a player.
Oh, I don't know.
But I don't know. We had a cousin who was like in minor league hockey, so obviously it's still hard. So
Yeah, I just know it's like really. I know people around here as kids that's their sole sport. Some schools it's attached to now.
yeah,
Like you can go to high school and play hockey, but you got to have a school with a real good tax base. It's not all schools.
that reminds me of some more anti-vax stuff. So did you know they have a Mighty Ducks TV show?
Yeah, I knew about it. Never seen it, but I knew about it.
So Emilio Estevez was on it, and so he is out in season 2 because he is unvaccinated.
Why? He's not the crazy one. Charlie's the crazy one. Is he trying out Charlie? I haven't seen a lot of like hit movies with Emilio Estevez in the last 20 years.
No, but
every job.
but he's mostly been like a director. Like he directed like that RFK, the Robert Kennedy
that's
movie.
right, he did.
Yeah, but didn't know he was crazy, but oh well.
Oh, dude, I mean that stuff's so. There are people. U of M in Ann Arbor, Michigan, is having a problem with employees over that.
Yeah.
But it's not what you think. It's not what you think. They're not anti-vax because they don't want the government to tell them to do it. They're anti-vax because this was invented under Trump. And they don't want a Trump vaccine.
That's a weird turn.
Well, it's Ann Arbor because it's like you would never think people in Ann Arbor would be because they're not because they're smarter than you. They can't wait to tell you how smart they are.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
there's a whole contingent of them that like no, we're not doing this because this came out under Trump and it was rushed and there was no oversight and we know what Trump is and his government was terrible. They were as bad as Hitler and we're not taking any vaccines from the American Hitler Trump government. It's like that's brilliant. Now this isn't like 80% of the people. It's a small group, but it's still enough people that are willing to throw away like 20-year nursing careers at U of M, which is you're making a fuck ton of money if you've been there that long as a nurse. And that's how I know these people is through nursing and stuff. And it's like that's some crazy shit. I said there's no way. I said this has all been approved. This was approved by the FDA under Biden, though. Remember, Biden was president when the FDA said it was like. This is how they can mandate it because it's like it's an approved drug. And when we took it, it was all like experimental, but I didn't have any problem with it because I take so many weird things anyway. It's like, yeah, whatever. Shoot that into me. Let's see what happens. So yeah, it can go so many ways. It's people you wouldn't think, and you don't know who they're listening to either.
Yeah.
Because like we don't run into like weird CEOs of tech companies who like, hey, let me tell you the truth of every, because that's like the thing. It's like with guys like like we were talking about Aaron Rodgers and Joe Rogan and all. I don't think any of those people are bad people, but I think they just talk to people all the time. They're
clearly misguided.
Yeah, well, it's like, hey, I'm not going to go with the herd. I'm going to tell you the alternative stuff that I heard.
Yeah.
And then it's like, hey, I like being different and not following the crowd. I agree with this guy. Just to thumb my nose at the system, And it's like, yeah, okay, but we still got this infectious disease going all around the country. Can we stop that first? Then you can thumb your nose at the man.
And I get it. The news sucks, but that has nothing to do with the vaccine.
Yeah, I don't like the news either. I don't listen to it. I mean, I don't. There's a few things I pay to have access to, and I don't agree with 80% of that. But it doesn't mean like the big stuff I'm gonna Look, I just don't want to wear masks at work anymore. That's my bottom line. That's my bottom line. I don't want to wear a mask at work anymore. Okay, can we get this cured down enough so I don't have to wear a mask at work? You guys going to go live on your own leper colony or whatever because you don't want the vaccine? And like you said earlier, if we all die in a year because the vaccine went crooked, well, okay, you win. Yay.
More Earth for you.
Yeah, it's all yours, buddy. Yeah, nothing surprises me anymore. I've heard so much weird shit. That was a new one though. And doctors and shit are saying stuff like that too. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Doctors that went to U of M, good medical school. It's like, but it's all based on it's all based on politics. They're never talking about, well, you know, the chemicals they used to, you know. No, it's always like, oh, Trump invented it, or it's, you know, we're gonna screw the libtards, or, you know, it's never like science. No one's ever said, you know, well, the vector they use to introduce that into your body can also stimulate cancer cells. Like if someone said something like that, I'd be like, whoa, wait a minute, what? But no, I never hear that.
Well, there's people saying that, but it's because like all half knowledge and inappropriate use of it.
They're not saying it in the Journal of American Medicine. Or
No,
something. They're saying it on you know, UFO
conspiracy television.
Yeah. It's like, I'm Billy Bob. This is my UFO channel. We got us a genuine doctor here. Now he doesn't practice medicine in the U.S. because he can't get a license, but that's because the system. The steep super state is against him, but you know he's going to share some truth and tell us about God's plan for us in the COVID vaccine.
There's somebody I follow on Twitter that it's kind of, well, it's funny, but it's informative, and she was like I don't know, she was like a Harvard medical doctor who like studies like virology and stuff like that, and she's like a retired, you know, academic, and then so she basically like goes on TikTok and finds TikTok videos that are presuming to like give medical advice about the vaccine, and she just like tears it apart. But she's very nice about it, but she completely tears them apart. It's like, and like, you know, to see somebody just like talking about it, it's like, see, this is like intentional, this is a nanobot, and she's like, and then she goes like, I know how an electron microscope works, that's dust.
Yeah. Yeah, she just kind of takes all the air out of the room gradually.
Yeah.
Oh, this is amazing. We got him. It's like, nah, it's a piece of dirt.
I'm seeing if I can find it so I can promote it, but I forget where.
That's a nanobot. That's great.
Yeah. Crap.
Got to understand something, people. If they could put nanobots in the vaccine, there would be no cancer. If we really had nanobots, there wouldn't be cancer right now, okay? And rich people would never die.
I gotta find this. I just forget how to.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, Twitter's weird to search.
It's like, who am I following? Where do I find that?
Yeah, they don't make it easy. They're trying to misdirect you and get you to take the shot.
Well, it's also because it's meant to work on a phone.
Oh,
yeah, because there's a thing I do when when you build stuff for it's called styling, and sometimes what's called like CSS styling. So if you have fancy websites that do a bunch of stuff, it's called CSS styling. But Twitter has like a thing that you can just use for free. And what's good about their styling is that it changes depending on what you're using. So if you're using a desktop or using a phone, it'll automatically change so that it's useful on either. So yeah, and Twitter does that for free. So
that's thoughtful of them.
Yeah, so they're actually very helpful in that way. Twitter does do some things right, but there's just a lot of things that are garbage. Where do I? Okay, there it is. It's called Sci Time with Tracy.
Okay.
So SCI, like sci-fi. So Sci Time with Tracy, and that's.
And she's not a Scientologist.
No, retired college professor, PhD in microbiology and immunology. So yeah, she has a lot of fun kind of debate things. I also recently followed Jeff Vandermeer, the guy who wrote Area X.
Oh yeah, he's got some wild stuff. I follow him too.
So
Follow him on Facebook.
yeah. Now my Twitter feed is just full of shit with animals because I followed him.
Oh yeah.
I forget. I saw some tweet he put out where he's talking about like the space station, and it's like it says like I don't want the space station for human progress. I just want it to be a hotel for billionaires. It was clearly he's being sarcastic.
Yeah.
So that was great.
Yeah, his what was it? His Star Trek or his what was it? Yeah, his sense of humor is pretty good. Now some of his like climate change stuff is like so bleak. It's like, okay, I don't know how we read this. It's like, this is so dark. But that's his whole thing. Is like the end of the world through environmental collapse. That's like all his books are sorted around that.
Yeah.
But sometimes you read that stuff and you're just like, I'm just so depressed. I can't even.
What do I do? It's like, I guess you got to be the first trillionaire that ever lived, and then solve it.
Or I could invent like cold fusion with my microwave and some ice cubes. Well, anyway, we watched a movie this week.
Yeah.
We watched the 1949 Japanese crime drama Stray Dog.
Directed by Akira Kurosawa.
Akira Kurosawa movie. This is interesting because it was a movie made in post World War II Tokyo. I mean, like 4 years after the end of the war.
4 years after, yeah.
And it is about post war Tokyo and Japan in general. And it like I know some things. I know some things about like I remember I read a few books about how wild Japan was like at the end of World War II. And there was some stuff going on there that had never gone on there. Like their economy was really weird. I mean, they were occupied by the United States solely. We were the sole occupiers because the Russians didn't. We weren't going to bisect the country like Germany because the Russians never got a chance to invade because we dropped nuclear bombs on them. So we got to claim it. And
this is a movie about a young homicide detective who gets his gun stolen on a train, and this happens like the very first like 3 seconds of the movie.
Yeah,
it's kind of like it's a bit like bolted on, but it's like there's like voiceover and stuff, and there's flashbacks, but it's like my gun's gone, and weird that he says he has a Colt. It's a Colt semi-auto pocket pistol, but the subtitles referred to it as a revolver, so that's just a gaff, but whatever.
It is a Colt model 1908 vest pocket.
Yeah.
It is, I think Forgotten Weapons had one of these once.
Yeah.
Fires a 25 ACP, which means it's lethal to 10 yards. I don't know how it's. Yeah. I also had some other weird guns in the movie, like those weird, the Type something pistols, and then they had the ones that's like the 7.65 caliber pistol. And someone had a shotgun. It was interesting to see movies in Japan, or guns in Japan right after World War II. It's like, well, you'd think they'd have a bunch of military stuff lying around, but no, actually they don't because we took all that.
Yeah.
So this is essentially a movie in a very hot Tokyo.
Oh yeah, and they do well to depict how hot it is because every scene. They're just sweating like fucking crazy. So
wiping their faces. Fans. There's always fans running in the background.
Their clothes are soaked in sweat.
Sometimes they do things where they have that. I don't know how they did it back then, but it has that kind of heat effect. They don't do like the wavy stuff, but they do like bright lights.
Yeah.
Like, it always looks hot in this movie. This whole movie is like a sweat house of just fear and doubt and
so fun fact, the way they do that effect in the movie where it's kind of wavy is they have what they call a methane bar, and so it leaks methane in front of the lens, and so it distorts how the light gets to the camera lens.
That sounds very explosive. Break out the methane bar. So we were joined by Mifune again.
Yeah, very young Mifune.
Very young Mifune.
So I have to apologize. That's pretty much the only person I'm going to know and refer to this movie. He has his lieutenant that's in charge of him. I don't know his name. And there's like, Uni is the guy with the gun? Or is it Yuki? I can't remember.
Yusa, I think.
Yusa, okay. That's the only people I remember. But anyway. But yeah, so Mifune is compelled to find the gun before something bad, a crime is committed with his gun. Because basically he can't. It's like he couldn't live with himself if something bad happened. Guess what? Bad things happen. So he's even more compelled to find it.
This is a movie that like counts down the escalation of evil and insanity by the number of rounds left in the gun. Because every time he commits a crime with the gun, it's like how many bullets does he have left? Which is always like a clock running in the corner of the screen. It's like, this is how many people he could potentially kill if you don't, stop him.
Yeah. But first he trails like this lady who he thought might have pickpocketed him on the bus, or was it a trolley? Might have been
like
a trolley.
Yeah, I think so. It seemed trolley-like to me.
Yeah.
There's too many people on it.
And so he follows her, and like not even trying to be conspicuous about it. He's just trailing her, and they know they're there with each other.
Yeah.
But like at the end of the day, she like brings him a beer and some food. She's like, "Hey, you spent the whole day and you haven't eaten anything." So, or all he had is that weird what was like seltzer water that they were drinking or something.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. It seemed like an uncomfortable drink.
But this is also sort of like the point of the movie where it's like this young detective has to kind of like find commonality with the kind of oppressed people that he serves to lord over as a homicide detective. So it's so that's kind of like where like the like on some level like naively there's good people and there's bad people, and so basically he kind of learns that like, I guess we're just all people, and there's really a thin line whether we're good or bad. Because even he has a story later on where it's like when somebody stole something from him, and he was like he was in the position where he basically could have killed that guy because he stole something, but he decided not to and became a cop, and so he knows that there's like very thin line between people being good or bad, and so that's just kind of like a false dichotomy. It's like people aren't good or bad; they're just living in their circumstances.
Well, yeah, this is kind of in this movie, like, because Mifune plays Murakama, Detective Murakama, who's Tokyo Homicide, or at least that's how it's translated. And then after a very long scene where he's like trying to trace his gun through the underground, which is just nothing but scenes from post-war Japan. Yeah. Because remember, we bombed everything down to like a foot tall, like that was, and all their, I mean, they're in Tokyo. So that was subjected to some pretty extensive bombing, but they do these they take their time with a lot of scenes in this movie. And I figured out or at least in my mind, I was like, oh, they're just showing like, this is like almost a post-apocalyptic world. Yeah. A lot of these shots, they're not staging these shots. They're just turning the camera on and pointing it. And then he's partnered like after that section of the investigation where he's just trying to trace his gun and get some ideas and interrogates that woman. Then he's partnered with an older guy named Sato. And I forget. I love the scene. It's early on where he's like going through like the catalog of faces of like criminals and stuff. Yeah. And like in every like TV show, like they just hand him like, here's a 3-ring binder. It's not that big. And we find the guy. And here it's like, it's a fucking huge thing. It's a full library of people's faces. Yeah. It's like, these are all criminals. Let's go through it one by one. It's like, Jesus Christ.
How do you find anything? And then the one guy he's working with, he just like knows like, oh, that lady, we're gonna go to her house. Like, don't you want the address? Like, I know where she lives.
Yeah.
And that was like the only kind of transitional thing there is that like in the photo she's wearing a kimono and now she's wearing a dress, and that's kind of like a cultural shift now. It's like, oh, people are wearing dresses now rather than like traditional Chinese garb or whatever.
Japanese.
Oh yeah, what did I say? Chinese? Yeah.
Yeah.
Japanese. I'm not even sure if garb is the right word. Dress. Whatever.
Traditional dress, which if you look into the history of like this movie and kind of Kurosawa's world, during the war, like in a lot of cultures that their whole society is geared towards total war, which the Japanese were for, I think from like 36 to 45. There was a huge return to like what they called traditional values.
Yeah.
So like a lot of like people were wearing dresses and stuff before, and they're also playing baseball, which plays a part into this movie too. They were doing all that stuff before World War II, but during the war years, the Japanese, like the hierarchy in the country, they were like, we must return to like older ways of doing things, more traditional Japanese ways, because we're at war with the U.S., we're at war with the West, and we're not going to do their decadent stuff anymore. So that became kind of a thing in this movie, and that was also a thing with like between the two detectives, like Murakami and Sato. Like Sato was a guy before the war. They even talk like in these terms at one point.
Yeah.
When they go to Sato's house, and you find out that Sato has like a wife and 3 kids, and he's
there's a weird word that I can't pronounce because it sounds almost French in the subtitles, but it's like basically post-war children is what they're talking about.
Yeah, and that was like because Murakami fought in World War II.
Yes.
Sato didn't. I mean, I don't know what he was. If he was in the Imperial Army, he was like stateside in Japan.
Yeah, he was like National Guard guy or something,
Yeah,
or he was just an MP.
He was too old really to be a frontline fighter in World War II. But he has a very simple like right and wrong view of crime. And he's supposed to be like in Japan, like he's the older guy you're supposed to listen to, because in Japan you always listen to the older guys because they know more, because they've been around longer.
Yeah.
And so he was like trying to take Murakami outside of himself to be like, look, this isn't just about you and this gun. This is about crime. This is about our country. This is about, and anyone who's a criminal is just universally bad. If they've committed a crime, they're bad. And that's kind of where Sato ends his thinking. But he knows that Murakami's like, and you find out because of the story they tell about when he came home as a soldier and got robbed and caught the guy, he could have just killed him. And he's like, I chose not to do that because I realized, I could very easily be that guy. But Sato, everything's black and white. But Murakami recognizes it's like, look, we didn't do good things in the war. We came home from that war and we lost the war, and it's like everything's not so cut and dry. And so that's kind of initially a struggle with these two guys, but then they just come to get along and respect each other and just work together.
Well, also there's a thing early on where Murakami is just trying to resign. It's like, I screwed up. You should fire me.
I want to commit like political or career seppuku. It's like, I'm ready. I fucked up. Fire me. And his lieutenant is like, don't be so dramatic.
Well, also his lieutenant is like, well, you like your what do you call that? He seeks responsibility himself enough that gives purpose that like, oh, he's a good person. Like if he was a bad person, he would be like, oh, this isn't my fault. Like
blaming everyone else.
Yes, but he holds himself responsible for it. It's like, yeah, you're the person we want on the force, even though you fucked up.
But he didn't fuck up by I left my gun sitting on a bench, pull it out of his pocket.
Yeah,
but it's like it was still. It's just the narrative that the movie swings around is like somebody stole his gun and now they're committing progressively worse and worse crimes with it.
Yeah,
like I mean, it goes from robbery to like rape and murder, and it's like and there's always like kids' toys around, and there's all kinds of things in the movie, little symbols of stuff.
Now it was the baseball game scene, which is actually pretty long. Was that meant to indicate like a change Japan? Like you're saying they had baseball before, but like
no, in Japan, in the baseball became popular. It was of course brought from America,
Yeah.
But they had like college clubs that played it in the teens and 20s and 30s, and then it became like a professional thing like in the 30s.
Okay.
But interestingly, in the war years, they still played baseball, and they still called their teams like they had the Tokyo Giants. They named them after a lot of American teams. But before the war started with America, they would say like play ball, strike one. They would use our terms. But in the war years, they used only Japanese terms for that. And then afterwards, after the war was over, then they started like play ball, and we had a lot of guys go over there on tours after the war because the Japanese really love baseball. And they always have. I think they still do. I think it's still
yeah.
There. But yeah, they've been into it for long before World War II, because it's just something they liked, and it's been over there a long time.
I tried to look up like what was baseball in America at this time, and in '49, Jackie Robinson was playing. It wasn't I'm not sure it was rookie year, but he was the MVP of the National League or whatever. So.
Yeah.
So that's this time frame.
Yeah. But yeah, that's always been like a cultural similarity we've had with Japan is like mutual love of baseball, golf, and then parts of our culture, and then later on parts of their culture. It's like there's been a lot of cross pollination.
Well, I didn't know if it was one of those post-war things where it got picked up because
it's been around a long time.
Because that's, I believe that's how wrestling came to be in Japan too. It was a post-war thing. It's like, oh, the Americans like watching wrestling, and so they made their own wrestling to entertain the Americans.
Yeah,
and so it is currently the best wrestling in the world. So, I mean, like technically, not necessarily like story-wise or entertaining, but like if you look at Japanese wrestlers, it's like, oh, those guys don't fuck around.
It's very technically precise and well done, I'm sure.
Yes.
But when it comes to narrative, yeah, they don't have Shakespeare over there, so.
No, but it's
weird.
Well, it's just like right now with the pandemic stuff, it's hard because like they have like rules where like they can't even cheer, like all they can do is clap.
Yeah.
Because it's although they changed
spittle flying around when you're cheering.
Yeah. So it's but now they've lessened the rules, and it's something like if you only have like a half capacity thing, then people can cheer, but if it's a full crowd, people can't cheer. It's like, how are you enforcing that? Okay, whatever. It's just
there's a guy walking around with a stick and everyone knows it's the no cheer man. But yeah, I don't know.
No, it's kind of just a cultural politeness.
Yeah, they follow the rules over there too.
So yeah.
Until they don't. And then really don't. Then it goes buck wild.
But anyways.
Yeah. So Japan and baseball have had a relationship that goes back a really long way.
Okay.
Which, I looked it up too because I wasn't sure. I was like, I know baseball was big over there. I think before World War II. I think there's just something about the game they like. I don't know what it is, but they're really into it. And so yeah, there was an extended baseball scene where they were trying to catch the Yakuza gun broker.
Yeah.
And they paged him, which I thought was interesting. Like, how do you catch a guy in a stadium this big? Oh, you have him paged. It's like, that's actually pretty smart.
Well, also they knew where they was because they had like a vendor walking around. Or was that a cop dressed as a vendor or just a vendor with a picture?
I think it was a cop dressed as a vendor. That's what I got out of it.
Okay. Because he's like the only guy in like this really gaudy or just like expensive looking suit. So it's like you could pick him out of the crowd. So. Yeah. Well, even though everyone was wearing white, that was weird. Yeah. Because it's like, oh, this baseball game sold out, and everyone's wearing white and going crazy and cheering. So, as far as I know, the Japanese make very good crowds for entertainment. So.
Oh yeah, well they're buttoned up all week at work. Go wild on the weekends.
Yeah,
it's your chance to go crazy because at work you're practically like, your boss talks to you, you almost have to like clack your heels together and salute. I don't know if it's still that way. Dad could tell us because he knows they were always real serious at work. But when work's over, it's like, yeah, let's get loaded.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of their work culture, which isn't that much different from ours. It's just
it's not that far removed.
It's like we're also going to work 90 hours, but we're just going to be swearing at each other, and there's not respect between people.
Yeah. But if you need to beat someone to death or hide a body, there will be respect that way. We'll make jokes about it. It won't be a dark secret. We'll laugh about it. Won't be ashamed of it. But yeah, let's talk about the bad guy in this for a little bit, because it was interesting. I mean, I knew this right away. Like, he's the black and the white between him and Murakami.
Yeah.
He says, like, oh, another veteran that came home and got robbed, but he went another way.
Yeah.
And he got involved in low-level organized crime. He was hated. He lived in basically a house he built out of pallets. And when I say house, I mean really small, hot room. It's weird. It's weird because they have this criminal in this. Go ahead.
Well, there's also a whole thing where there's kind of like there's not a lot of work to go around, and people, like, even the guns that they're like trading around, like, nobody has money to buy these guns. They're just like trading the guns around with their rice ration card.
Yep. Yeah, that's a currency. Well, you got to remember at this time, let's see, there had been 200% inflation from the year before. In this actual period in Japan, so money was so fluid, it almost wasn't worth anything.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine if a loaf of bread cost you like $70 now? It's like, well, okay, what can I physically? Because ration cards, that was all by the run by the U.S. occupation forces, so that price was the same. So the ration card was always worth what the ration card said. But anything any money you earned, like, well, your currency's worthless and goes up and down, and you can always tell countries that came through that, like, because Japan has that high number currency. Like, the 1 yen isn't like a buck. It's like 1 yen is like 10,000 of a cent or something. Like,
No, it's like a cent.
oh well, but its buying power is like very, very little. You don't get any.
Yeah.
I mean, like 1,000 yen is $7. So.
It's about equal now, but I don't know. It's a weird. Well, it's a weird thing to refer to, like, it's like if we referred to $10 as 1,000 cents.
Yeah,
it just seems weird.
Well, I've had it explained to me, though, like those countries that have real high dollar or high numeric currencies, at some point in their history, like, they all started out at like 1 through 10,
Yeah.
and then they had huge inflation.
Because I get the New Japan Pro Wrestling streaming app, and you pay with it. You go through PayPal, but you end up paying with it through yen, and so it's like it's 999 yen.
Yeah.
But when it equates to a dollar amount, it's like $8.89. So they're fairly close, but anyways.
But that's like, that's the crime here, is you basically lease a gun for your rice card.
Yeah.
And that's what this guy was doing. Because he was doing crimes like outside of what the Yakuza wanted him to do. So it was like, well, this is your own sideline. So yeah, go ahead and take this gun. And they knew he was doing bad stuff with it, but they just didn't care. They're just like indifferent to it.
Is it his diary that they find where he kills the cat because it's like meowing at night?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a sad scene.
Yeah,
it's real done because they're just looking at a note. The camera's just pointing at a note. They have him do the voiceover, and then it's just a cat meowing in the background.
Yep.
and rain, sounds of rain.
Yeah. Yeah, this is like what is that? It's because I forget who Kurosawa said this. This was kind of based on a crime novel that he liked.
Oh, Naked City.
Okay, yeah, but he said, but he doesn't make like crime movies. He makes movies about people where crimes are involved in it. So it was because they had a lot of interesting stuff in here about early NCI type things when the guys were talking about ballistics and all that.
Yeah.
Remember when they were in the lab and they had all the guns in the glass cases, and they were like explaining how, oh, the rifling on the barrel makes like fingerprints you can see under this microscope, and they were they had a lot of like long scenes of that. We're just talking about police procedure, but it's not really a movie about. It doesn't come across like a crime movie. It is a movie about crime and police, but it's more about like the relationships between these guys.
You go through the motions of police investigation, but what you take out of it is like human emotion. So
yeah. Yeah, it's not the same thing. So yeah, the guy killing the cat was like, it wasn't that book I was thinking of. It was another one. It was because Kurosawa talks about this guy all the time. The guy who wrote Crime and Punishment, the Russian books.
Was it Stanislavski? No. Oh, I don't know. I can look it up.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, there was a scene in Crime and Punishment where a guy just killed a woman because she was worthless.
Dostoevsky.
Yeah, Dostoevsky. Yeah. So it's people have some of the rundowns of this movie I read and other movies he's done is like, yeah, he really liked Dostoevsky, and like, because Dostoevsky's good about writing stories about people in societies they're not happy with, and how they take it out with violence and anger and then regret it, because they don't make the bad guy in this, even though he's doing horrible things, like unsympathetic. He just seems like a guy that's like, oh, he's just falling apart.
Yeah.
And
he's lost. He's trying to survive, and he's lost, and he has no recourse. He has no other recourse, or he would have taken it.
Yeah.
If he felt he had another recourse, he would have taken it. But yeah, that's kind of like what a lot of these people are dealing with. It's like this post-war, like, we lost, so it's like this emotional depression for like a whole society.
Yeah, and they're a country that's essentially never lost a war before this, not in a serious way. Hold on.
The aliens are coming.
Yes. Hello.
You're on the show.
Not yet. We're about 5 minutes out. All right. Bye. But yeah, actually, we're going to end pretty soon. So eventually, yeah, they do run Yusa down. And I forget what happens. Yeah, Sato gets shot.
Yeah.
In the arm. And then he he shoots 2 more times and loses the gun, or throws it away, right?
Well, there's like the standoff in the woods where he shoots Murakami like in the arm like twice or whatever, and then kind of tackles him, handcuffs him. There's like children parading around the background.
Yeah.
What was that good bit where like he fires the gun once, hits Murakami, and this lady's like playing piano. And she's like, "Did I hear a gunshot?" And then just everything stands still, and then she plays piano again. It's like, I guess not.
Yeah. We're okay.
And he gets arrested, but then they're in the hospital and he's talking to the guy, and basically he's like I know you feel for these people now, but like like as the job goes on, you're gonna be desensitized by your by that, and like these people won't be you won't relate to them anymore.
Yeah, you get tired of just breathing the horror all the time.
Yeah. So that's kind of another good Kurosawa movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not modern anyway, so sometimes it feels long, but like if you know how to, but it's like still like cool to experience. So
yeah, and it was remade twice, I think.
Oh, it was? Oh yeah, I mean,
Japan.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, yeah, because I know like this story's been used, because like this is where I was listening to that A More Civilized Age podcast. They the Star Wars Clone Wars used this exact same thing where like Ahsoka loses her lightsaber, and then she's trying to get it back is before people commit crimes with it. So that's where I learned about the movie.
All right. Well, yeah, check it out. Stray Dog.
Yeah.
Weird intro.
Yeah, just credits and a dog breathing.
And I guess they had to make it clear they didn't torture the dog. They just took it out and had it run for a while. Just filmed it like panting like that. Because there was some rumor going around like they gave the dog rabies and then filmed that. It's like, that's hardcore, but it wasn't true. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this week for the American Greed Factory podcast, this is Nathan.
This is Colin. Goodbye, America.